Hello, and welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today we're back in one of my favorite historic districts, Bluff Park, and with me is Rolanda Cruz, and he is the chair of this year's Bluff Park Home Tour, which is coming up on April
the 23rd, and it is from, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's going to be touring 6 of the homes in this neighborhood. We were actually wanting to show my home today, right? Which
Yes.
is one of the homes from last year's home tour. So it's an old 1913 Craftsman.
And this is one of the more popular styles in and around Bluff Park and Long Beach with the California bungalows and the Craftsman styles, because after the Victorian era was sort of on its way out, the Craftsman era came in, and all of these homes are about that vintage.
Correct, correct. I've been learning a lot about the different homes and everything in here, and I know this the majority of Bluff Park was built like in the early 1900s, and so that's when Victorian was gone and Craftsman was coming about. So a lot of the houses have that influence one way or another.
Let's go check the inside.
Great.
Let's go.
Okay.
Okay, now this is your home here.
Yes, it is. It's mine and my partner's, Robert Collins.
And you said this was built in 1903?
1913.
13.
Correct.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Thank you.
How big is it?
Square footage, we're 2450 living space. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. It's got a large living room and a large kitchen, which were the 2 pieces that we wanted in a house.
That's a beautiful fireplace.
Yes, the fireplace was actually rebuilt about 10 years ago, and the prior owners from us, we've been here in this house for about 5 years, and that's one of the things that we left. It actually had some of the river rock, which is what used to be the foundation of this home, all river rock.
Can we wander through and check everything out?
Absolutely.
Now, did you have a lot of work to do when you bought the house, or was it in this great of a shape?
Oh, no, we did a lot of work. A lot of the house was, it had been modernized. I know prior to us, the owners before us had actually done all the structural work, which was a great thing. They redid all the foundation, all the footings, and they redid all the sides of the home to make it more structurally sound.
The coffered ceilings are beautiful.
Yeah, the woodwork up on the above and the doorways and the actual windows were all left alone. So that was fantastic. The hardwood floors themselves.
These are the original?
They're original to the house. They were under the carpet and they were in great shape. We had a lot of patchwork that needed to be done, but we've got some great wood flooring guys to take care of it. So.
And I assume the kitchen is in here?
The kitchen is this way. It is a very functional kitchen, and it's very modernized though. But it's still, you know, I guess you got to have the conveniences of a home. So
now, did you redo the kitchen, or was this?
The prior owners to us had actually redid this kitchen. We haven't touched it at all, so we've kind of left it alone since. But all the other rooms we've been able to work in bit by bit.
This is a beautiful, beautiful home.
Yes. One of the things that we've put a lot in here is you'll notice a lot of the vases and stuff that going in. This is part of my partner's collection of Bauer vases. He's got almost all Bauer in the kitchen. It's one of his loves. And then throughout the house, you'll see Catalina pieces and Brookwood and different types of vases collection.
The only reason I'm familiar with Bauer is because I'm a docent up at Rancho Los Alamitos, and they have some up there. So.
Oh, great.
Can we go check out the upstairs?
Absolutely. One of my...
is this one entryway, so there are 2 entryways?
Right. That's actually one of the nicest features of the house. You have the larger entryway to go upstairs from this area, and it has a round curved stairwell, very large area. The stained glass is also original to the house as well. That's been, I mean, so I guess it's in early 1900s when they built it, but it's frosted glass. I forget. I think they have a style or a pattern. Somebody was telling me a little bit about it, but it was something about horse hair being used to be able to make the stained glass. So
it feels, the ceiling feels low here, is it?
It is a little lower. That was one of the things that we had very hard time trying to find fixtures that we would feel that would be comfortable. So we were able to find some old mica fixtures that kind of match the style of the rose theme and what's being on the windows.
John, you better duck your head. This is a wide staircase.
Oh, that's also been fun and enjoyable because you can actually walk two people up the stairwell at a time. So.
And then you can make your grand entrance going down.
Yes, yes.
I'm just going to go in this way. I don't know where I'm going.
This is our master bedroom.
This is large, isn't it?
It used to be 2 bedrooms, and it was made into one larger bedroom because, again, one of the other things that we wanted in a home was to be able to have a functional bedroom that not only you could sleep in, but play on the computer and do whatever is necessary.
I noticed that you've carried out the theme of the craftsman furniture to go along with the style of the house.
I enjoy the craftsman furniture. I think one of the things that we love about it is the simplicity of the lines. So that's why we've gotten throughout the whole area most of the stuff bought locally here. Most of it is reproductions. We still have some original pieces. The shaving stand is an original piece bought, and that was like in the late 1800s that it was produced. We've been able to complement with some of the house. This sconces here are, we were trying to put the ship theme since we're in Long Beach, but the sconces on the wall are actually from an old Victorian Canadian home and die-cast metal that we found at one of the Disney shows. Same thing with the, I believe that's called a Mojave towel, which actually has the same kind of ship theme. And all of our ship themes started with this one piece here. It was an actual piece that we found in England, and it's supposed to be early 1800s, and we ended up having it framed. It was just a beautiful piece.
These are unusual curtains or shades. Are they? They're very craftsman.
Yes, one of the things that we did is I wanted to have curtains that could actually literally cover the entire window, and so what we did is we made a Roman shade, which wasn't arts and crafts of the time, but the textile is, and we had embroidery work done to match. If you can see the pattern on the actual curtain matches the pattern that's above in the wallpaper, which is a Bradbury wallpaper design. It's called, I believe it's called the Iris. So we took that same thing, and then I had her run across and make it so it actually looks pretty good. As you roll it up, the pattern matches, so you can see on the cross here,
right,
the same design exists that goes from here to here, so you can still carry on the same design. So
let's go on, and I don't want to miss anything.
Okay. One of the things that we did also, we actually had to refinish all these doors, all the doors, to bring them back of the same character. And again, finding the hammered copper was very difficult, but we found it in one of the latest shows that they did again at Disney. They have a great arts and crafts show.
And this is a second bedroom?
Yes. We actually call it my mom's den. This room hasn't been done too much. There's still lath and plaster walls underneath this, so we haven't figured out how to take out the wallpaper, so I don't know how old the wallpaper is yet. It's got a little nook and cranny in the back area that we've actually put a spare bed in there, so when my mom comes, she has her own private space to enjoy.
So this wallpaper was here when you moved in?
Yes, it was, and again, we believe it's original because it goes all the way up through the top, and you can see the lath and plaster. If you go upstairs, you'll see it through, and it comes up on the top. So it's kind of a paper or material wallpaper.
No, is there just one bathroom here?
One bathroom upstairs, and again, the modern bathroom. But we attempted to try to bring in a little of the character. You can see made a little border of a stencil of dragonflies to try to bring some of the theme into it. We didn't want to take too much time. This was done again before we got the house. And then also different type of pottery throughout the thing is Catalina pottery, which is right across the ocean there.
And then this is the third bedroom?
This is the third bedroom. Still under works. We haven't done this one completely yet. This is going to become our child's bedroom once we get everything going, and still have a lot of work that needs to be done in here. but we at least touched it up with paint and put a little things just so that we can at least use it as a reading room right now, and then later on it'll become a child's bedroom.
This is really a nice sized house, and the rooms are all well appointed.
Well, actually, I think most of the rooms were about this size because, like I mentioned, that front bedroom used to be 2 bedrooms, and then it was opened up to make one larger bedroom so that, you know, for modern day, this is about the size of what most bedrooms would have been in the old days. So.
Well, since we've seen the house, let's take a mini tour of Bluff Park and show the people what they can expect to see on the home tour.
That would be great.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, let's start our mini tour right here with the house across the street from you. This is a prairie-styled house, and it was built in 1914. It was the home of Frank Merriman, who in the 1930s was governor of California. This is a prairie-style type of architecture which was made popular by Frank Lloyd Wright, I believe.
Correct, and right now there still is the daughter-in-law of the governor still lives and owns the house today.
Oh, so it's been in the family for quite a few years.
They bought it, I believe, in the 1930s, and it's been in the same family since.
And the house here on the corner, I understand, was the girlhood home of Dorothy Buffum Chandler, for who the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion is named after.
I just learned about that today, so I'm going to be knocking on the door of the neighbors and talking to them about it.
All right. So let's go down First Street, and we'll pick up a few other places along the way.
Sounds good.
All right, this 1925 Tudor Revival home here is one of the more stately homes here in Bluff Park. And I believe this was built for the Long Beach attorney, Roland Swaffield. And he is credited with winning the original Tidelands, which brought millions of dollars to the city of Long Beach.
Yes, it's one of the beautiful homes that we see as we take our walk in Bluff Park all the time. And hopefully one of these days we'll be able to get inside and share it with everybody else in one of the home tours that we have of the area.
And the reason I point this out, because there's another one almost similar to it down the street, which has an interesting story we'll tell about.
Right, that's about a block away up, a little further down. We can go by and see it.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
This is another spectacular home here in Bluff Park, and I believe this was on the home tour before. This is a 1905 classic box, and this is known as the queen of the street.
Yeah.
The old gal looks pretty good for being over 100 years old, doesn't she?
Yeah, one of the older houses of our neighborhood, and right now we're going through a period that we're going to see a lot of our houses having their centennial birthday, and so we're hoping every year that we're going to be honoring a house that's in its 100th year. So beautiful old house, and love to see it every time we pass by.
And I love this one here on the corner that we're going to visit in just a minute. This is the other Tudor house I was talking about.
Right. We also had, I believe this house was on the Long Beach Heritage Greater Tour 2 years ago, and we used it last year in our garden. So last year when you came by, had lunch, with the home tour, you were able to enjoy the gardens of this house.
And that's one of the homes I filmed for my TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this Tudor we're coming upon. In 1921, oil was discovered on Signal Hill on Sarah Dell Morris's chicken farm. And after she became a wealthy woman, why, she hired noted architect C.T. McGrew to build her a home that would rival her attorney's, Mr. Swaffield, which we just saw a moment ago. This home has a billiard room in the basement, and it also has a shooting gallery.
And right now, I believe they're doing a lot of the restoration to bring it back to its glory. So it's under works, and we're hoping in a couple of years that we're going to be able to see all the work that's being done and look at its glory back in its nice.
And oddly enough, Sarah Dell Morris, after she became a wealthy woman, she married her butler, and they entered into Long Beach society together.
Very interesting.
And there's another house around the corner I want to talk about, because There are so many interesting stories about the people who used to live here in Bluff Park and built all these magnificent homes.
Oh, wonderful. Let's go ahead and we'll go around the corner here then.
All right. This house, although not that impressive by some standards here in Bluff Park, is a 1917 eclectic house, and I think one of the interesting stories about it is that W.C. Fields leased it in the heyday of Hollywood, and many of the Hollywood notables stayed here, including Clark Gable and Carole Lombard.
Right, and it's impressive definitely in size if you compare it, especially a lot of these houses on Ocean Boulevard are this grand and this large, and you could see why they probably could entertain their whole group and clientele. It goes way back to the very end.
It's my understanding that the ghost of Clark Gable still haunts his house. In fact, a friend of mine used to live in one of the apartments up here, and he said Clark Gable's ghost used to terrorize his cats.
So I hear as well.
Let's go on. I think this is coming up on a home that's going to be on your home tour this year.
Right, this is one of the more interesting homes as well. I believe it was built in the 1960s. It still has all the original character of being a modern house of its time. So it's going to be an interesting house to see. I haven't been able to go through myself, but I've heard stories already that we're going to really enjoy looking at the house in the interior.
Do you know if this was an Ed Killingsworth design?
I am not sure of who the architect was, but I believe you're right.
There are so many different architectural styles here in the Bluff. That's one of the things that makes it such an interesting place to visit. I think if I had to pick out one area where I would want to live, I think it would be Bluff Park.
Oh, absolutely. Not only for the weather and being so close to the ocean, but the reality, like you say, there's such an eclectic mix of different homes, from the Craftsman to the Mission to the Spanish style to the Victorian, and different versions of each one that they mix so well. That's one of the reasons why we want to preserve the neighborhood as it is today and try to keep it with that beautiful flair of individuality, yet it just seems to be all cohesive.
I got another one we have to go by and visit, so let's continue on.
Okay, let's go ahead.
This is another impressive house here with the clinker bricks, and it's a gorgeous home. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this was built for a Mr. Prisk, who was the editor of the press early on.
You know, from the first day that I ever came to Bluff Park and I knew I wanted to live in Bluff Park, this was one of the homes that I always loved. It just looks so grand and so large. It's got great views from the ocean.
And right across the street we have the Galaxy.
Right.
And because of this, Bluff Park became a historical district.
Right, they call it the Big Blue Sore Building out here. It looks more like a medical building than anything, but my understanding was that when this thing was built, the neighbors got really upset and they wanted to somehow stop it, but they couldn't because there was no law or anything to prevent them from stopping any other high-rises from being built. So the historical got together, the group got together, bonded, and created a historical district and trying to prevent any kind of other buildings. Nowadays, everything has to stay to its original character of what it was.
I believe the Juergens Mansion used to sit on that lot, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I understood that there was a beautiful grand home there as well, and it occupied the entire lot.
Well, they're safe now because they're restricted on what they can build and how they can build.
And we're still going through those battles, and fortunately with the Long Beach Heritage and the Historical Society, they work with us every time anybody actually starts doing any kind of renovation, that we work to try to keep it down and keep it to the same as it was, at least the front facing of this.
You know, historical districts can have their drawbacks, but they also have a credit too, because it keeps the continuity and the styles intact. And
absolutely, and we want to be able to say 50 years down the line or 100 years down the line that you can still walk and enjoy the architecture of all its time still in here.
I still have one more to do, so let's go.
Okay, it's a little further up this way, I believe, the house you want.
I don't don't know why, but this is one of my favorite homes here in Bluff Park. I know it was built for a mule skinner from Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
And it's big. It has to set on a couple lots, and the home is it's just a large home. But for some reason, I don't know, this is one of my favorites.
Well, I definitely love it during the springtime with all the roses and everything that show up here. And I'm an avid rose lover, and they have probably one of the best collections out here near the ocean.
You know, I don't know how accurate my information is, but I know not too long ago this house was refurbished. And I was told that they took each of those bricks apart individually, numbered them, had them reglazed, and then reassembled the house to look as it did originally.
Wow, that's amazing, Harvey. I'm learning a lot myself on taking this walk with you down the neighborhood.
That would be quite an undertaking to take all those bricks down and number them and reassemble it.
You got to be talking in the thousands of bricks here.
That would be harder than the Times crossword puzzle. We're getting close to my next house.
Great. Oh, okay, we can see it out here over here. While you pass, you might even want to see this is one of my favorite homes. It's an arts and crafts home, and it also occupies a double lot here. It's a great large backyard, but this is again part of similar to my house. It has the roll top roof on it. It was also built in the early 1900s.
I believe it's owned by two doctors who live in Hemet.
Correct.
It is a gorgeous home.
Yes, I actually got to take a tour of it, and one day I hope we can get this also on the home tour. There's just so many beautiful homes here that it's just so nice to just see what people have done back in the older days and what they're doing today to them as well.
I see they're starting construction on the project over here. This was another contentious problem here in Bluff Park. The design of the home, I think.
But fortunately, through all of the boards and panels, they're actually going to build a home here that's going to be to the character of the neighborhood. And we were able to bring it down and scale it down to size so that it doesn't protrude or stand out.
It's going to be quite a large house, is it not?
Absolutely.
More of a modernistic house?
Yes. And this other one here, I mean, one of the reasons you don't want to mess it up, it's right next to one of the homes that I believe you wanted to see.
Yes, this is it coming up, this white building here. This was built in 1919. It's a modern cubist type of architecture. And Irving Gill was the architect, and this is the only home in Long Beach designed by Irving Gill. He may have a limited number in Los Angeles, but the body of his work is up in the Bay Area. He was an outstanding, innovative architect, and he created a jewel when he designed this house. His clean, straightforward style provided a striking contrast to the flamboyant Victorian-era revival styles. Gill described his creation as simple cubic houses with creamy walls, sheer and plain, rising boldly into the sky, unrelieved by cornices and the overhang of a roof. This house was to focus on the ocean view, hence the staggered cubist plan. I think this house is totally underrated, and I don't think Mr. Gill has been given the credit that he deserves, because this is quite a remarkable house.
Again, one of the things that makes our neighborhood wonderful, seeing all the different styles that people build here.
Okay, Rolando, we saw your beautiful home. We've taken a stroll and checked out some of the eclectic architectural mix here in Bluff Park. And now, tell us about the home tour again.
Well, before we tell you a little bit about the home tour, I wanted to talk a little bit about the bluff here. That's why this is called Bluff Park. If you look all the way up and down, this little park here is on the bluff and right off the ocean, and right below us is the actual ocean and the sand.
And the Queen Mary.
And the Queen Mary. You get great views of everything that is being built in the city and all. As far as the home tour, it's going to be, again, it is April the 23rd. That
That's
is
a Sunday.
That's a Sunday right after tax season. So you can remember after your taxes are filed, you can take some of that refund hopefully and come in to the home tour. Tickets in advance up till April 16th are $25 and they're $30 at the event. We only have a limited number of tickets this year, so we're going to try to limit it to 600. We had such a higher demand. Everything's going to start at the end of the bluff right at the Long Beach Museum of Art. So that's where we'll be checking in, where you can pick up programs and everything.
And you have how many houses?
We have 6 homes designated. I don't remember them all. As part of the chair, I have somebody else who's doing that piece. But we have 6 homes for interior tours. We're going to have a wonderful write-up on a lot of the exterior homes here, as well as a garden tour of one of the homes that you can actually have lunch. So that's going to be provided by Olive's Gourmet Grocer up the street.
By the way, I know it takes a lot of docents for these home tours. If any of our viewers would want to be a docent, is that a possibility?
Absolutely. We actually need at least 100 volunteers for that day. It's about a 2.5-hour commitment, and we give them all the information to learn about the homes, and they can actually then help people and answer the questions about the interior of the homes. They can call Long Beach Heritage.
493-7019.
There you go. You know it. All right.
So for any, if they want to be a docent, or if they want ticket or just information, call Long Beach Heritage at 493-7019.
That's perfect. And we're welcome anybody who wants to come to see the neighborhood a little closer. And there's a lot more that we couldn't do in a 30-minute show.
You know, one of the things that's so neat about Bluff Park is the wide tree-lined streets that just make it such a pleasant place to be.
Absolutely. It makes these type of walks like we had today, Harvey, part of the best part of being here in Southern California.
Rolando, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Good luck on the home tour.
All right, thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
See you then at the home tour.
And that's our show. Be sure and join us again next time as we take another walk through history and uncover more treasures of Long Beach.